Alright, hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back to the channel. So a few weeks ago, I traveled to New York City because I was feeling a little bit bored of Paris. On my second day there, I decided to sit a few blocks away from 368 Broadway because I know that's where some of my favorite creators work. If you're unfamiliar, 368 Broadway is a creator collective that was started by Casey Neistat a few years ago. So yeah, while sitting at that WeWork, I decided to send out a few cold messages on Instagram just to see if anyone would agree to have a coffee with me. Before we get to what happened next, let me explain to you what is a cold message. So, a cold message is when someone attempts to contact another individual or a business hoping to achieve a professional or personal goal. And this is particularly the case when that individual or business has no idea that you even exist. So yeah, I sent out a bunch of these cold messages, right? One of the YouTubers that I sent a message to, his name is Conti, he actually replied to me and he asked me if I was okay to have a coffee at 3 p.m, which was 1 hour later. And being in the neighborhood, I agreed.
Alright, so I basically just cold DM'd this YouTuber, his name is Conti, and he agreed to do a quick coffee with me. So I'm just gonna head over at 368 and meet him there.
We met and he was the nicest guy. We walked around the block a bit to find his favorite coffee place, but then it turned out to be closed. So then we got to another coffee place. We sat down, got something to drink, and we chatted for an hour about YouTube and what it is to grow as a creator. We talked about the challenges he faced in the past and continues to face in the present, how he navigated his growth on YouTube, and he gave me a lot of advice which was very, very useful for me. Honestly, it was such an inspiring conversation because I've actually never met someone who is so far advanced in their YouTube career, and it brought me an entirely different perspective. But then something really cool happened. While me and Brett were chatting at that coffee shop, Luke Ike, another YouTuber who I'd actually sent out a message to, he happened to be at that same place, and so he just popped in and said hi. It turns out that the entire Your Mom's House crew, which if you're unfamiliar, that's Elliot, Choy, Kelly Vakasa, Anne-Marie Chase, and your mom Ashley. All of them were filming a video at 368. And so after Brett and I's coffee was done, we walked over to 368 and we just sat there watching them film a YouTube video for like a good 10 minutes. And that's when I met Elliot Choy and had the opportunity to chat with him very briefly as well. And when I whipped out my camera to shoot something for this YouTube channel, he even made like a commentary and he was just generally overall really, really nice about it.
I don't know what's going on, but they got the big cameras out. I'm just watching.
Yo, it was so wild for me because these are people who I've been watching on YouTube every single week for the past 4 or 5 months or so. And there I was standing and watching them film a YouTube video, which in New York City, which was, yeah, that was wild. It's also really funny because I sent out cold messages to all of them and they didn't really see my messages. So, but because one of them, Brett, agreed to get a coffee with me, I was still able to meet the rest of them, which was great. So you can see that the possibilities are pretty much endless when it comes to cold messaging. And literally the worst case is that you don't get a response at all or you get ghosted. So what that means is that if you just get over this perceived social risk of getting ghosted or like not receiving a response, you can really unlock so much in life just by sending the right things to the right people. But how do you write good cold messages? Let me give you a few tips. Number 1 is be clear and intentional. State who you are and what you want as clearly as possible. Do you just want answers to a few questions? Do you just want to chat on the phone? Do you want to meet for a coffee? Do you want them to give you a job reference? Do you want them to donate a kidney to you? What exactly are you looking for? By doing this, you're making it easy for the other person to think, yes, I can do this, or like, no, I don't really want to do this. In my case, I told Brett that I was a YouTuber with 12,000 subscribers at that time. I was visiting New York from Paris and I was already in the neighborhood and I wanted to meet him to talk about YouTube and his growth experiences for 15 to 20 minutes. So let's actually break that down a bit. When I mentioned that I'm a YouTuber with 12,000 subscribers, it shows that I'm serious about what I'm doing, and that's kind of like my social proof, so to say. And you can actually find your social proof depending on your situation too. When I mentioned that I'm visiting New York from Paris, that again shows him that this interaction is important to me, because if I'm traveling such a long distance, every hour that I have in the city is valuable. And the fact that I want to spend some time with him, it shows him that this interaction is important and it's a priority for me. So I wouldn't be wasting my time. I mentioned that I want to talk about growth on YouTube. And the reason for that is that it's something specific. It's something that he is in a unique position to talk to me about. It's also something that he's very passionate about. And you know, people love talking about their passions. I'm sure had I messaged him asking for like New York travel advice or something, like he would have just ignored me straight out. The last bit, I mentioned that I'm already in the neighborhood. Again, that's just reducing the friction. He knows that I'm literally already there, and if he agrees, I can meet him like super quickly. So if he's free or if he's bored at that moment, he can just say yes and I can chat with him. There's no planning, there's no long-term commitment. It's just very smooth. The second tip that I can give you is be concise. No one, really, no one likes a long wall of text. in their email or in their DM. It's actually overwhelming. Particularly people who have a lot of messages already, seeing like one long thing is just like, they won't even read it. Look at the message that you're writing and cut out anything that's not adding value to the other person or to the interaction. Really, like every single word you write must have a clear purpose or intention. If it doesn't, or if you can't think of it, it's fluff, cut it out. You have one shot in most cases, so make it count. Tip number 3 is be empathetic and be relatable. That's actually 2 tips, but we'll combine it into one. Write like how you would want to be written to. If your message is even a little bit long, which actually it shouldn't be, but if it is, structure it into 2 different paragraphs so that it's easier to read through. Also, be relatable. Don't write like you're writing to a professor unless you're writing to a professor. Cut with the dear sir, can I take a little bit of your time, thanking you, all that. Just don't do it. Try and figure out how this person would normally be written to by his or her friends and try and write like that. That's what I mean by being relatable. So the exact message that I wrote to Brett was this. Hey Brett, don't need it, but I'm a YouTuber visiting from Paris, France, 12k subs in brackets. I'm around 368 right now with like this RN, and I'd love to meet and chat about growing on YouTube for 15 to 20 minutes. Let me know if you could, smiley face, no probs if you can't, thought I'd shoot my shot nonetheless. The don't need it is in reference to something that he posted in his Instagram story that I responded to. And that's what brings me to my next point. Be on the lookout for a good moment to write. In my case, Brett had just posted on his Instagram story offering to give away something from his studio to anybody in New York that might need it. And I knew that after posting a story like this, he's highly likely to go through his DMs to see what people wrote to him. And that's when I decided to take this opportunity. Opportunities like this can actually present themselves all the time. You just need to understand what they can look like, you need to be on the lookout for them, and then when you see one, just shoot your shot. But yeah, again, like while specific opportunities like these can increase your chances of receiving a response, you don't necessarily always need one. You can still write a message out cold, and that can still be highly effective if you do it correctly. Alright, so there you go. That's basically my playbook for sending effective cold messages, particularly to network and meet people. If you found this video helpful, consider giving it a thumbs up. It helps me out a lot, and you can also hit that subscribe button because I'll be uploading a lot more content just like this every single week. Alright, see you guys in the next one.